Hello,
Hello!
welcome to McNultys on Movies for episodes 7 and 8, mostly 8 of Westworld.
Of Westworld. Sorry we're behind.
Yeah, sorry you
We
missed 7.
had Thanksgiving,
Mhm.
and that's not really an excuse.
Well, anyhow, here we are.
But we did. Happy Thanksgiving.
So, in 7 and 8, we learned that Bernard was... 7, we learned he was a host,
A host.
which is very surprising to me.
Yeah, it completely shocked us. I don't know.
But
I don't think I considered it for some other people.
Yeah, but not for
like
Bernard.
Ford and for some people that were working there, but never really for Bernard.
Yeah.
Until right before. When he didn't see the door.
Right. Yeah. Well, they did. They had a couple of cues in that episode. They had the tech that in that faked up demo, the tech that was actually a host.
With Clementine.
Right, so that showed you that they could have someone that you would read as...
control another host.
Yeah, and just read as a real human.
Yeah.
And then the idea of Bernard not seeing that door and them introducing the idea of hosts not being able to like parse certain information.
Parse.
So, yeah, it was a shock.
It was.
So,
and then Teresa died.
Yes, and Teresa's dead. Which,
unfortunate.
Yeah, so that's the first real death that we've had in the show. She's the first permanently killed character. I guess Clementine died that same episode, but Clementine's kind of an ephemeral quantity, so she got retired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess she did. That's kind of sad.
Yeah.
And I mean, do you want any more on episode 7?
I think some of that stuff will come back up. Let's just talk
about
what's
so
happened.
Episode 8 we figure out, well, this is completely out of order, but
that's okay.
I think Elsie's dead.
Yeah, we saw Elsie. We think that she is also killed by Bernard.
And Bernard remembers?
Yes.
Question mark?
So let's talk about that, yeah. We see Ford erase a couple people in this episode.
A couple of different memories.
Yeah.
We see him erase Bernard's memory. We see him erase Maeve's memory from when she was in the role of herself and her daughter and was really upset when the man in black killed them both. We also see her do the same... Well, let's talk about erasing first.
So it doesn't really appear to work.
At least not...
Because Bernard remembers Elsie before his memory.
Or like little snippets of memory.
Maeve has this memory, which causes her to kill Clementine too. And also, when he does it to her, she immediately stands up and stabs herself in the neck. Indicating that it didn't even work immediately. She was trying to kill herself for that same reason.
How did we know, why, though? Why she was trying to kill herself?
I think she was trying to kill herself because she didn't want her daughter to be dead. And she didn't know she was a host.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, so the idea that Bernard's memory has been wiped doesn't necessarily... I think he's going to recover it.
Yeah, I think he's going to recover. And then you'd mentioned something about, how Maeve has basically overwritten her core code and how maybe Bernard will in the future.
Yeah, because Maeve had enough knowledge to do so. Bernard ostensibly already has enough knowledge. I assume that Ford would put some kind of defenses in for Bernard, but he's smart enough that I imagine he might be able to get past it anyways and make some edits to himself, much like Maeve has made substantial edits in this episode.
It's interesting to me, too, that when Maeve was attacked by the man in black, she pulls out the axe or whatever it is and does the same, swinging motion.
Right.
That she...
did with Sylvester.
Apparently that was new, though. And then did with Clementine. She calls it something new that was added to her, but she's done it before.
Well, I think...
to a human.
But when she did it to the man in black, he was unharmed.
Because they're in the park.
Well, that brings us to the question of where is the defense of a host hurting a person? How is it set up? And it would seem to be suggested by this that it's set up in their own
code.
In their code to maybe to know the difference between however they do the faked weapons, whatever depends on the weapons in the park.
Yeah.
And they're not allowed to use and real weapons or real killing is off limits to them. Like, it's still a little bit unclear how exactly they protect guests from serious injury in the park.
Well, maybe that's what's new. What's new about Maeve is that now she can actually leave marks.
Yeah, but was she not leaving a mark before because she was programmed to not attack in such a way as to do so? Yeah.
We don't know why, but I mean, you saw already. So I looked like he bled a little bit at first, but then when she ran out of the house with her daughter, it was already like
already
a scab.
Yeah,
it's really weird.
It is really weird. Is it the knife? Like all the knives are fake, but that would be super hard. Or is it in what the hosts are allowed to do? It's not clear how they're.
No, it's not
pulling this off. You want to talk about Security Guy, or you want to talk about more about Maeve?
Well, let's keep talking about Maeve.
Yeah. So Maeve was told about her perfect memory. Felix told her that her mind is not like a human's mind. She remembers things perfectly.
When she remembers, it's like she relives it.
Yeah. So we see that happen to Maeve a couple times, and it also makes sense for some of the things, at least, that Dolores has seen. Kind of supports the idea of her having this major loop of getting out of her regular loop several times and remembering those previous jaunts. We see her get all the way back to the that first little test park where it seemed like she shot everybody there at some point.
Yeah. The original old park, we see a flashback to one of like the workers of the park, like teaching that dancing scene.
Yeah.
And like a lot of the old models are there. Maeve's there. The Snake Girl is there.
Yeah, so good.
Just a lot of old people. But yeah, so it does seem like some of Dolores's weird times where she sees herself maybe is a memory of her being there. But also, hosts do remember things that are not necessarily real, that didn't happen, because Teddy's remembering backstory.
Yeah.
Wyatt that didn't actually exist. Bernard remembers vividly his wife and his son dying, which, as far as we know, is not real.
Yeah.
But it's a very real memory. So
it could be something Arnold planted as a form of backstory for her
to try to get her. But then she does say several times, or at least in episode 8, Arnold wants me to remember. Yeah. Whether or not that kind of makes me think it's a real memory.
Yeah,
like something that happened with, we know that Dolores and Arnold tried to destroy the park together.
Yeah.
Or Arnold tried to use Dolores, and we see in one of like the flashbacks today that Dolores maybe is shooting people in that town. So maybe that's part of.
Yeah. But I think it's also worth noting, you mentioned it, that we now have confirmation that Maeve, Dolores, Snake Girl, and that intro lady who we saw today be one of Wyatt's people, who I don't know if she has a name.
I don't know her name. It was the she's blonde. The Man in Black and Teddy come across her. Yeah. And then she kind of she stabs Teddy with the arrow.
Those are all confirmed first generation hosts, which seems to be it might be important to which ones and how they can be affected by Arnold. Yeah.
So Ford's Wyatt story, we see a little bit more of that, more of like the masked men that are really weird and hard to kill and giant. There's a ton of them at the end, so I'm interested to see where that's gonna go.
The Man in Black said that
We learn a lot about the Man in Black, too.
Definitely. I don't know how much we're going to go into that because it's pretty straightforward. I feel like
it's just more. I wish we knew actual details from the real world, but it's. I mean, everything that we suspected that he's rich. We learned about his wife and unhappy life. Yeah.
We also the show for the first time really addressed directly the question of if things are on the same timeline, with Dolores asking when this is and if William is real and all that.
When are we?
We also had the Man in Black recognize that woman that we were just talking about, who William had as his intro lady. So it could be, there was some suggestion that that's a connection, like more support for the idea that the two of them are together. Are the same person but on different timelines.
I don't understand what you just said.
So, the Man in Black, at the very beginning, him and Teddy come across that series of dead people and that woman, right?
In the beginning of this episode.
In the beginning of episode 8, yes. And
the woman that was left by Weitzman.
Right. Yes. And the Man in Black says, I thought they retired you. Yeah. But I guess Ford never wastes a pretty face. Yeah. We know that William is acquainted with this person and saw her in a different viewpoint. As like a different host. And if they are the same person, it would have been alone.
Why did William see her?
When William first came into the park, she was the host who Whoa. I thought you noticed that. Yeah.
No!
That's where we first met her. And so we've also seen her.
She was William's, welcome to Westworld, get dressed in cowboy clothes.
Yes, exactly. And
I didn't realize that.
And we know she's first generation.
Really familiar.
So it's possible that it would mean that William is coming to the park very soon into its life cycle, if that's the case.
So it supports different timelines.
It supports different timelines.
Y'all.
Or it's consistent with different timelines. But the show still doesn't make a lot of sense if it's different timelines, because then still not sure how they're going to tie what Dolores is doing back into Maeve, unless I was thinking maybe when Dolores spreads the Violent Delights thing to Maeve, that could be Dolores many, many loops later, and we're seeing her backstory, so to speak.
And Dolores does that on purpose, many years later.
Right.
To start
her long war with Ford.
Y'all.
I'm not sure. I still feel like there's a lot of things that it doesn't all connect up super well, but they could pull it out.
Okay. All right. Well, let's briefly talk about security.
Security dude and Ford, and how freaking crazy Ford is.
Ford's crazy.
Yeah. So if I only have one thing to say really, if Ford, as he was talking to Bernard,
let's explain to who security dude is,
because we don't know his name.
People might know him by that name.
Who security dude is?
Yeah. People probably don't know what we mean by that.
Yeah, he's the guy who was talking to Bernard about Teresa, and Bernard having.
He's the other guy that works there that worked with Elsie.
I don't know his name, but
we call him security.
But he said he knew that Teresa and Bernard were having a relationship, and Bernard seemed to, said no, that's not true. In a way that it didn't make sense for him to be lying. Plus Elsie.
We think maybe he's a little suspicious of.
He's very suspicious.
What Ford and what's happening, and maybe he will start to suspect that.
Yeah.
Bernard is not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where is he?
Right.
Know. Consciousness. When does it start?
Yeah, especially the way he talked about Teresa, it being out of character for her, and his only suggestion for a motivation was that she was being extorted. And even that was very oblique. Like saying, we have had issues with people being extorted in the past. He didn't say she might have been.
The lady from the board is now trying to use
Sizemore,
the
writer, an idiot.
I was going to say it nicer, but he's a little. I don't think that's going to work out super well.
Okay, and so Ford. Sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit.
It's okay.
Ford said that he he does, when he was talking to Bernard, that a host and a human there is no jumping off point. There's no difference between them. Mm-hmm. Bernard feels all the things, is as valuable as a person. If he believes that, and he runs a park in which the hosts are killed en masse, like all the time, every day, and he does not think that they are substantially different or lesser in value than humans. No, that means that he holds humans at the same regard that everyone else holds hosts. Which is
why it's easy for him to just have...
He kills Teresa because he kills hosts all the time. Like, what's the big deal? Like, he does not care. So I think he is turning out to be, whatever else the storyline may hold, he is like a villain. He is a terrible person.
Interesting.
So
this was episode 8. Mm-hmm. We have 9.
And then 10.
And then 10. And then maybe we won't be quite as confused, but maybe we'll be more confused.
Yeah. So.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, well, we'll catch up with episode 9 later.
Yeah. All right, thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.